Hey guys, Henning and Morten from FlippedNormals here. If you want to follow along with these tutorials, all the project files are available for free download on the FlippedNormals marketplace, so check out the link in the description. In this video, we are going to be doing the shading and assigning materials to our newly created lightsaber. We are going to be using the LookDev viewport settings for this. So the very first thing we're going to be doing is in our left viewport here, we are going to be hitting the LookDev setup. This just has a lot of predefined settings for us, which is ideal for LookDev. We're also going to hide the reference picture, but we're not going to hide the reference picture overall because we need it in this view. We're going to be hiding it only in this view, which is going to be our camera view. So we go up here to the visibility, and then we go to empty, and we just disable the empty. An empty is like, if you know other 3D software, maybe it's called like a null or a locator, and it's essentially just where reference images. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to go into the camera view, and if you have seen the first part of this series, which I highly recommend you do, you can get to this if you hit the 0 key, and if you remember back and we were to now navigate, it's going to disappear.
Oh no.
And this is really annoying, and it took me a long time to figure out what the hell is going on. So this is a very easy fix. If you go under view, and then we go under view lock, now we hit lock camera to view. This just means that we can now just lock the camera.
An important hotkey here is that you can hide, again, you can hide this menu with the N key. It just brings it back and forth. So if you wanted to maximize your space after you're done, just hit the N key.
So now we have a camera set up. You technically don't have to be in the camera view. So if you want to have some slight more control here, you could totally not use the camera view. Yeah. But at least now the camera is set up for you if you need it, and you can quickly hit the numpad 0 or go in here.
And just for clarity's sake here, shaders and materials, when we talk about here, is a material, you know, it's like the real world. When we look at our reference, we just see what is the material made of, what's the color of the object. Is it a metal? Is it not a metal? It could be made of rock. It could be made of rubber. That's what a shader / a material is.
Yes, whenever we're shading, this is really like one of the creative areas of the process. It's not a technical thing where you're just looking at charts. You can make this into a cheese lightsaber or like a goat horn lightsaber.
Cheese lightsaber.
You know, whatever you want to do. Not the most effective lightsaber, but a very tasty one.
Yes.
So what we can also do, we can disable all the viewport overlays, so we don't really have any other stuff here. We can also go up here to the nice friendly triangle, and we can change the lighting of it. By default is using this one, the studio lighting, and we can just change this. This is not crazy, like the difference is not that big right now apart from some of these ones, but this becomes way more apparent when you have reflections enabled.
The nice thing about having these are called HDRIs, or high dynamic range images. So these HDRIs are like full spherical images, so it's 360 degrees around us. We can't see it in the environment, but it is there, and it provides light. But more importantly, it gives us something to reflect off of. So especially when you're working with metals, that becomes very important. That's why you always see, like if you look at the reference view here, you can see those streaks that run up and down the lightsaber. That's what a cylindrical reflection looks like when there's an environment around it.
One thing which is absolutely essential when you're doing shading like this is that you use reference images. We've been talking about this for like years now on our channel, but like this is so important. If you're doing metal, it's incredibly hard to shade metal without really having something to look at. It sounds basic, but seriously look at reference whenever you're doing this. So now we can start to actually assign materials to this. We have the material tab under here. So all the way to the right, and then at the bottom we have the materials. So we can start by looking at the reference and seeing what kind of materials we need. So we have here, like a light metal, then we have like a dark metal, and then we have like a medium metal. We have this this painted orange thing, and then again we have the bright metal, and then we have the lightsaber beam, which you can control.
Just have to imagine that.
It
could be made of cheese.
Yeah, it could be made of cheese as well. Very inefficient lightsaber.
Unless you have lactose intolerance.
Yeah, it would be highly effective against Morten.
Yeah. Don't tell them my weakness. It's my only weakness.
And bullets.
It's so delicious though.
So we are going to be selecting this part here now, and we're just going to be trying to recreate this part. So we go under the material tab, and then we hit new. And this is going to create a new material for us. Now, we can see here that nothing hasn't really changed, but it's because it just assigns a default material to it. So we have a few attributes we can look into. Now, this has a fancy name, and there are a bunch of fancy things. It's very scientific, but there really isn't a whole lot of things you really should worry about for most shaders. The majority of the options you're ever going to change would be the color, basically what is the actual color of the object. Is it metal? Is it not metal? How shiny is it? Is it a very dull material or is it a very shiny material? And is it transparent or is it not transparent when transmission? We're not really going to be touching this at all, but these are essentially the options we are going to be dealing with. And through these options, you can create basically anything there is. This is a really advanced shader, and it's a really awesome shader to work with.
Now, under your surfaces, you do have a bunch of different other shaders. If you want more control or you want to experiment, for most, like 99% of the cases, the principal BSDF is the shader that you're going to be using.
So for this one, let's just rename this to Metal Bright. It's important that you rename your materials early on, because you might have a scene with 200 materials and it becomes a huge mess. So we are going to just set the color to something like bit darker like this. Let's just look in this view for it. What's important here is it's a metal one. Is it metal? Yes or no? This is very clearly metal, so it needs to be set to that.
So this value should only ever really be 0 or 1. There are some materials that sort of like shift in between and like might have a little bit of non-metal in it and stuff, but for general shading, it's either 0 for non-metals or 1 for metals.
Yeah, unless you're doing crazy space magic materials, then just keep it set to 0, yeah. 1. We can also change the roughness. This is essentially a value for, is it a mirror or is it like a rock? And this here is like mirror rock. It's a little in between. We can compare it with the actual reference image here. And if you're doing metals, you generally want to be quite low. And if you're doing something like a rock, you want it just to be quite high.
So an important thing to realize here is that even a rock, in terms of roughness, is still reflective. So the roughness, it like controls how reflective something is. You can see that in the shading viewport over there now, that is actually reflecting that environment that we have in the background. But even a rock has some, even though it has a high roughness value, it still reflects the environment.
Yeah, if this area is a rock, the environment is still around it, so the same rays would still hit it. It's just that the microsurfacing is just incredibly rough, so it breaks up everything. It goes a bit outside the scope of this one, but just a little bit of shading theory is that everything has specularity, everything has roughness, and it really is just what value is the roughness.
And you shouldn't worry about matching the reference in terms of the light and what you're seeing. Like if we were to change the environment now in the looked at viewport, it would actually change the look of this quite dramatically. So it's really hard, unless you have the exact light setup that they're using in the reference picture, getting the same look is going to be virtually impossible.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So you just have to look at it and evaluate, say, okay, how rough do I think this roughness value should be?
Yeah, it really is an eyeballing thing, and you'll get better at it as you come along as well. Okay, so now we made this material here. Now we can simply just drag and drop this onto the other ones, which have the same one. We do this by going to the material here, and then we just drag it onto the other ones. And now you can see it becomes that material as well.
So one thing to keep in mind here is organization of materials can be a little confusing when you first get started. So an object, now you can see our objects here, they all have the metal bright material under it, but you can create multiple materials. And so in this way, an object just serves as a group, essentially, for having materials stored under them. Because you see it doesn't show up in the outliner under the scene collection, but we do have it in our shading viewport.
Now if you want to see all the materials in your entire scene, you can go under here, and you can go to Blender file, and you can go to materials, and you can see all the materials you're going to have. This is how I can really get an overview of it. Yeah. Then we go back to view layer. Okay, so let's drag this metal bright to this one as well. And let's drag it to this one as well. I really like this workflow of just dragging it, because it's so intuitive that you can just drag and drop something.
Yeah.
And then we have the metal dark, which is this one here. So make a new material, just hit new. And then we can make this a bit darker because it's metal dark. So clearly it's a bit darker.
That makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me. And then we make this metal, because again, it is metal. And we can also change the roughness value to something like this. This is where I'm not looking too much at the actual value. I'm looking more at what's happening in the viewport. And then we can assign this to this piece here. This is where we have to assign different materials to different pieces. So now we can drag this material here onto this, and now you can see we have this. And then we can also make a new material and call it this like metal gray. So right now this has this entire material selected to it.
But you remember in the modeling chapter, we actually separated out the middle part, so it's not connected by edges anymore. And that was so that we could still keep it in the array and duplicate it along the array, but also to have the ability for us to assign a separate material in the center.
So we can make a new material by hitting this new material slot. This doesn't really create a new material, it just creates a new slot for us. So in here, we can now make a new material. And again, it's going to create the default one. And then we can assign this material to only the selected polygons. This is something you're probably going to be doing a lot. So we can do this in a very easy way. If we go into edit mode, again, hit a tab key, and then we select the poly mode by hitting the 3 key. Now, this is a feature we haven't talked about. But if you hit the L key now to go over it, while hovering over it, this is now selected this entire region. So if you want to select this as well, you hit the L key, and this is going to select everything connected. If you want to deselect everything now, you can just click outside here, and now you can select again. Or if you specifically want to deselect one of these parts, you can hit Shift L while hovering over it. I personally don't use this hotkey a whole lot because you've got to move your hand a lot and it's really uncomfortable. But you can use this as well.
So this feature is select linking. And the important part here, just to keep in mind, is that your cursor has to be over, not clicking, but just hovering over the part that you want to select.
And then we hit assign while material O2 is selected. And then we hit assign. And now you can see this has been assigned to all of them.
Like magic.
Like magic. This is one of the reasons I really prefer working with deformers or modifiers like this, because it's just live. If we were to modify anything here, it just changes everything. So now we can rename this metal dark and metal gray. Okay. So we can make this something in between, and again enable metalness for it, and we can set the roughness this here to something a bit lower, like this. So now we can just see if this matches the reference or not. And maybe we have to make the metal, maybe we have to make this one just a little bit less, a little bit rougher, just so there is some contrast. What you often want to do, just from like a art theory point of view, is that you want to make different materials have slightly different values, just so there is contrast between them. If everything is super shiny, then there is no variation in it. Then we can select this guy here. And because the overlay is off, we can't actually see what's selected. So that's why we have two views. It just makes it a lot easier. Now we create a new material, and we can call this painted metal. So this we're gonna say that this here is not a metal, but this is just metal which has been painted. So this is just paint.
Yeah, so essentially it's paint, meaning it's not an actual metal material.
So we go into base color, and this is really cool. We can now color pick from the reference. This is one of the reasons we still have the reference enabled. So hit the color picker or eyedropper, and then we click here, and then there we go. And now you can see this has the same color now. Now what you often have to do, you have to just make it a little bit darker, just because there's always reflection on top of this, so just a little bit brighter like this, or darker like this. We can also change the roughness amount as well, because you can see this is quite shiny. So let's just change the roughness, something like this. So you can just see now how you can create most things with a metal slider, with a roughness slider, and with a color slider. Then we have actually one more guy here, and I have no idea what material this is. So
it's gray.
Yeah, it's just general gray.
General gray material.
So we're gonna make this quite rough, so it's not very shiny, just to create some contrast. Make the base color just a bit darker, and something like this. And that's essentially it for the main lightsaber. You know, you can do more changes once you go into lighting as well, but now we have a base shader setup. Of course, we need the most important thing of lightsaber, which is the epic crystallized whatever it is.
Cheese. Yeah. It was the cheese beam.
Yeah, the cheese beam. So we're going to use a different material for this. If we click new, and now we have surface. So we could, I guess, technically use this, but we're going to be using a light material for this. So we click the surface, and now we click emission. Emission is going to be a light material.
So the cool thing about emissive materials is that, I mean, even though they do receive light, in 3D space, they technically just ignore all lights. So all they do is they actually emit light, so the material becomes a light, which is pretty cool.
This is really awesome. You're going to be using this a lot. Let's say you want to make like a lamp or something, or, you know, a lightsaber. This is where you control how evil the lightsaber is. If you want to make it super evil, you make it red. You make it super good, you make it blue. So
if you want to make it pimp, you make it purple.
Yeah.
That's...
If you want to make it, if you want to make it proper Samuel L. Jackson, you know, you can totally do that as well. That's a really cool thing about this as well. When it comes to shading, like, you can do so many things. When it comes to modeling, of course, you can change a lot of things, but it's quite slow to do changes to it. You know, you can see it took us quite some time to model this up, but now we just made it go from a pimp lightsaber to a good guy lightsaber to like the most evil object in the world. You can also change like wear and tear of it. Like if this comes straight from lightsaber factory. But if you want to make this an older lightsaber, you can just change the roughness and just make it be more rough. So it has just indicating that it's been out for a long time.
And you might be confused as to the lipstick looking material that we've applied that actually does nothing. Don't worry about it. This is for the exciting shading rendering chapter. Because when we just apply it like this in the viewport, it doesn't actually look like it does anything, but there's a reason why we're choosing the emissive material.
Yeah, this is going to become more clear later on. But right now we just chosen a color for it. We're going to be tweaking these materials a little bit in the next chapter as well, if needed, just based on the lights we have. So with that said, this is how you would shade an object in Blender. It's a really cool system, and you can do most things here with just a very few sliders. If you're overwhelmed, don't worry too much about it. Just look at reference and change the color, the roughness, and metallicness, and you can essentially do anything you want to. So we'll see you in the next chapter, where we're doing the final lighting of this, which is going to be really cool. So if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell as well. And let us know what kind of Blender content you want to see as well.
So if you want to follow along with this chapter that you've just watched, make sure to head over to the FlippedNormals Marketplace. There's a link in the description where you can pick up the free project files for this lightsaber project. So we have project files for each chapter. So you can kind of follow along to see, okay, what is the progress from chapter to chapter here.